Hello everyone and welcome back to Whisky Wednesday. It's January, maybe nearly February, but probably January, and we have our first alternative spirit, rum. I've met many whiskey drinkers who are also rum fans, and I am becoming quite a large one myself. This is from Rhythm and Booze Records. Quite a funky little label. The label will be very relative later, as will be this QR code on the back. And if you do want to scan that and jump ahead, feel free to. This is an interesting independent company put together by two friends, one of which is a keeper of the Quake, and both of whom are featured in this band. This has been put together by two quite interesting co-founders called Felipe Schreiberg and Paul Archibald. This is a 4-year-old single cask Trinidad rum. There's only really one big rum distillery in Trinidad these days, and that's Angostura. There could be a couple of small ones, but I'm assuming it's come from them. 4 years old, 50% ABV, 50 centilitres, one of 400 bottles. I'm going to post a link below. Some of you may have already scanned that QR code, but in the link below there will be a link to the Dramful website where you can purchase a bottle of this for £45. I've gone through quite a large chunk of it already. And this is a sample review, but I'll also be making a little cocktail as well, just because I think the daiquiri might be my favourite cocktail ever, along with the Sazerac, or maybe an Irish coffee. It's my favourite rum cocktail ever, because it's so simple. They've essentially put this together to pair with the music. So the band is called Feli y Los Malos. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And it takes you through this beautiful kind of jazzy Latin quartet band, which is actually quite pleasant to listen to as you drink this or just kind of enjoy doing something. I like this concept. Cough still here. We did a lot with turntable spirits last year. Mixing whiskey or just any sort of spirit with music is one of my favourite things to do, along with spirits and books and all that sort of stuff. Trinidad rum, not had a huge amount of experience with it. I do know of Angostura. I know them more for bitters than I do for rum. They make some really nice Amaro as well, if you're into your cocktail stuff. But here we have what I assume would be rum from Angostura. A beautifully creamy, exotic nose, like really pineapple-y. There's almost like a vanilla wafer biscuit thing going on with it. A little bit raisiny. I assume, purely based on colour, this is from an ex-bourbon cask. But there is almost like a raisin, kind of datey note to it. Not as strong as that Macallan from last week, but it is in there. Feels creamy. Imagine kind of like pineapple smoothie, pineapple sorbet, that sort of thing. I don't know what it is about rum. As someone who used to be a musician, not a professional musician, but very much an amateur musician, whiskey always made me want to play guitar. Whiskey always makes me want to write songs and read books and things like that, but sticking to the music theme, whiskey always makes me want to perform music. Rum makes me want to dance to music. Simply sipping that, then you're kind of transported back to wedding parties and like nights out with your friends, and there's always someone ordering, well for us anyway, neat rum and coke, you know, daiquiris. You're just chinning these things and just dancing the night away. And if you're fans of like Latin jazz or Latin music as a whole, that kind of the instant rhythmic hip moving quality to it. This thing dances around the tongue a little bit, is what I'm trying to get at in a very long-winded way. Loads of bright fruit. There's a little bit of that kind of, not quite molasses spirit, but it almost leans into agave spirit slightly more than it does molasses or sugarcane, which again is always a good thing for me. And that creaminess of pineapple, that vanilla thing was bouncing back again. There's like a milk chocolate note, there's almost like a roasted coffee note on the palate. Remarkably delicate though. Like as a sipping rum, it's particularly approachable. If you were to give me this blind, I've said that a lot in the last couple of months, I don't think I'd tell you it was a rum. I'd probably tell it was some sort of young spirit. But I'd probably lean towards a whiskey, maybe even a bourbon. If you like whiskey and you want to get into rum, this is not a bad way to go about it. This is like, it's a really unusual price. It's like £45.83. That's not including shipping. But by all means, follow the link below in the bio box if you want to check out a purchase of it. The finish is nice and long. For a 4-year-old spirit, again, that's quite impressive. 50% ABV. Again, creamy, rich, a little bit of earthiness, a little bit of sweetness. It's got a lot of cool stuff going on. We're going to go back to tasting it neat in a bit. But here, I have a cocktail shaker. This is already pre-filled with some stuff. So in here, just to make it easy to carry everything up, I've got 25 milliliters of lime juice. I have 25 milliliters of sugar syrup, and I've got a double measure of this Rhythm and Booze rum. For you American folks watching, you can simply use like ounces if you want. So like you'd use 30 mils of lime juice, 30 mils of sugar syrup, and then maybe 60 mils of rum. For those of you at home that have never made cocktails or are interested in doing so, you can feel free to use less lime juice, less sugar syrup, make it for you, essentially. But I'd say using a double of the spirit and then 25 mils of your modifiers is kind of the best way to go about it. I've been chilling this coupe with some ice, but I think it's all stuck together. Indeed it has. So let's get all that into there. So we have a chilled glass as well, which is a bonus. Just gonna pull back from the microphone on here. You never look into shake a daiquiri for too long, and essentially until you start to get some condensation on the outside of the glass. You start to hear the ice getting a little bit loose. Remove the cap. Decant into your chilled coupe, or whichever glass you choose to use. Make sure you get everything out of there. Every drop counts with this stuff, especially if you're making cocktails with single barrel spirits. Favourite rum cocktail of all time. Cannot be beaten. Ooh. 25 ml of sugar with 50% alcohol, I think works very well. If you do want to tone the sugar down, you're more than welcome to. The spirit will just pop a little bit more, as will the lime juice. But the tang and the brightness and the refreshing welcome and the wave of spirit running through the end. Really tasty. I'll probably drink this as we edit this video later on. So good. But back to this rum. After having taken on some quite powerful flavours with that palette of sugar syrup and lime juice, to dive back into this, you really do get a lot more of those darker notes I was talking about. The raisin, the cocoa, the coffee. So even, again, that vanilla wafer thing is kind of turning more into biscuit qualities now. Honestly, you'd think this was, maybe not a single malt, but a whiskey of some sort. Again, that tang of earthiness. Moves into like ginger, kind of like Christmassy baking spirit spices, ginger and mace and clove. I really like it. It's better than most official bottles of whiskey I've tried from big brands recently, and it's a smaller bottle, and it's only 4 years old, but it's generally quite interesting. score-wise, it's not the best rum I've ever tried, but I don't think it's trying to be either. But I think this is fully deserving of an 8. I think for the price you pay for it, for the level of alcohol you've got, for the intensity of the flavour as a 4-year-old style, and if you're honestly looking to get into rum from all different parts of the world, of which there are so many, this is a very good place to start. But I think I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. Thank you very much to Felipe for getting in touch with me about this. And I haven't met you, Paul, but the band's pretty good. And I'm a fan of the products you guys are putting together. So if you do have any more releases, send me a link. We'll check them out and buy them. But yeah, this is an 8 out of 10 from me. 3, Whiskey of the Year, a Macallan video, and our rum video. Things do get a little bit more back to normal next week. I have some huge bottles of whiskey to talk about. But will they live up to reputation? We will see. But I will see you all next week. The rum gets an 8. The cocktail probably gets a 9. I think slightly less sugar would be good. And maybe even a dash of Angostura bitters in there. Some people don't like that, but Angostura bitters tend to make most things better. But anyway, I'll see you all next week and have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you. Cheers.